Lauren's POV. I had long awaited this moment since I was a child. Reaching adulthood today with the new moon marking my entry, it was finally time for me to meet my fiancé, Adam Evans, the heir of the Ironclaw pack. Over the years, frequent wars caused the decline of my own pack, the Crimson Moon tribe. In hopes of creating some sort of calm between the two packs, Father sought out the support of the Ironclaws. Their Alpha King proposed a marriage alliance in return for peace between the two long-standing clans. This was settled on and decided years before today, and I knew the day would come when childhood left me. Before this agreement, Father discussed the idea with me. He didn't want to sacrifice my happiness, but as the Alpha's daughter, I offered to accept the proposition. I knew my responsibility, and always vowed to uphold it at any cost. Father had told me I would marry Adam, the son of the Alpha King. Adam was the most powerful Alpha apart from the Alpha King of the Ironclaw tribe. Everyone knew this, but Adam and I had never met before. But now the day arrived when we would meet and become one. In the morning, my clothes were laid out for me. Getting dressed, I waited. But no one from the Ironclaws arrived. Feeling slighted, I tore off my cumbersome dress, running to the back hill to relax. Suddenly, the raging sounds of war coming from behind me filled my ears. Father had often told us about wartime. The scene below echoed his words. Rebellion. But why today out of all days? Left wondering if it had anything to do with Adam not appearing, I rushed back to look for my family. But the sight was much worse than I ever imagined. Houses burned to the ground, creating an ash fall around me, the cinders leaving black marks on my skin. There were cries and screams everywhere, members of our tribe fleeing for their life. Spotting my father, I ran to my family. Father was donning his armor, getting ready for war. Lauren, hide your mother and your sister while I lead our werewolves into battle, commands Father quickly. Leaving me behind, I ran to find my family, but in the confusion and chaos, struggled to find them. 15 minutes passed, when my father's beta, Victor, found me, a look of sheer desperation marking his face. As second in command, Victor was a strong man, and until now, I had never seen him wounded. He looked badly hurt, which meant Father had probably faced defeat. Victor, what is going on? I was just up on the hill when I heard the outbreak. I asked him anxiously. Our dear, Lauren, I have some bad news, responded Victor between short, shallow breaths. It is your uncle who led the rebels today. I urge you to flee now before it's too late, my uncle briskly advises. But, what Abu? Go, now. Hurry. And with that, he turned, retreating into the madness. Running to the observatory, pandemonium greeted me, and I refused to believe what lay in front of me. Freezing in my tracks, my body turned stone cold. Father! I gasped. Spread out across the floor with blood seeping through the faux fur coat and dripping down his silver, was my father. A sword pierced his chest, and the one holding the wooden and leather handle was my own mother. As if sensing where I stood, Mother looked up at me from the ground where my father lay with piercingly cold eyes and then drew the sword. At the same time, my Uncle Jed joined my mother at her side. Without saying a word to one another, Uncle flung his paw into the air, flexing his claws, and ripped through Father's heart like a piece of meat. Papa! Crying out as I rushed to his side, wanting to save him. Without warning, Victor arrived, stopping me in my tracks, and carried me away from the bloodbath, despite my struggles. A couple of meters on, we were met with another attack out of nowhere, and Victor hid me in a nearby haystack. Stay here, Lauren, and whatever you do, don't leave, and he turned to face the incoming enemies alone. Peering through a small crack, I saw our tribe's beta flung in the air, and killed by the rebels. Before his eyes closed, he turned to face me from a distance and I could tell he was trying to tell me something. Stay alive. He mouthed and with that, drew his last breath. Flinging my hand over my mouth so no one would hear my scream, tears flowed uncontrollably, streaking my face wet. It was now evening, and there had been no one in sight for a few hours. Finally climbing out of the haystack, I tried to locate my father's body. It wasn't where I left him. Retreating to our village, I fell to my knees, crying out in despair. No! I screamed as my father's head dangled from the scaffolding for public display. It was impossible to lift my body, and it felt as if my own heart had been ripped from my chest. It was too much to believe. My beloved father was dead, by my own mother's hand. Lauren's POV filled with a burning hatred, my blood was boiling. All of the rebels will pay the price for this if it's the last thing I do. Fathers had swayed in front of me, and it was too much to bear. I couldn't leave my father's body, he didn't deserve this humiliation after death. It was wrong on every level, but especially for the alpha of our pack. Scaling the rafters, I untied the rope from which he was hanging and was just about to loosen the last strand when I heard voices not far from me. Peering from the elevated vantage point, the rebels were back. It's her. I heard someone scream, and I knew they had found me. Jumping to the floor, my legs began to sprint, my adrenaline pumping as I rushed away from the enemies. Suddenly, a sharp pain jolted through my body. My knees buckled, and before I had time to react, I fell hard to the ground, the earth and sand covering my kneecaps. Hearing about such feelings before from other members of my pack, I wondered if this was the pain caused by my shift. Was my wolf finally awakening? Trying to pull myself up from the floor, it seemed that it was too late. Fighting back with all of the last strength and will inside of me, the enemy was too strong, and I was knocked to the ground again. Peering up toward the gray sky, my Uncle Jed cast an extra shadow as he stood above me. Lock her up, Barnett, and leave her there, Jed commanded his beta, who instantly listened to his alpha's command. Why don't you just kill me? I aggressively growled back at my uncle. I will. But not now. Your time will come, child, Uncle Jed laughed contemptuously, snarling at me as the words dripped from his evil mouth. Just tell me one thing. Why do it? Why betray the pack and your younger brother like this? We're supposed to be blood. Questioning Uncle Jed, I even struggled to understand it all. I'm the one that should have been in charge of the Crimson Moon tribe, not your father. Anthony never deserved power or women, Jed spat back. I looked at him bewildered, but he continued. Your incompetent father never even knew about my affair with your mother, Elisa, his beloved wife. I've always been the strongest alpha amongst the pack. The Crimson Moon tribe is rightfully mine, it should belong to the alpha above them all, me. Oh, but revenge will be sweet, uncle. My furious thoughts felt like a battle, but I knew this was what was needed. Before dragging me off to my lockup, my uncle uttered one last sentence. Remembered to let her hand it over, and with that, he was gone. Now in the cell, Barnett demanded I give him the bone whistle. Not knowing what he was talking about, I pleaded to know what it was. But Barnett looked at me in disdain, as if I was speaking lies, and raised the whip. I closed my eyes, ready to embrace the lashing. Stop, it was my mother's voice. Looking up at her, my eyes filled with tears, yet she showed no signs of remorse. I thought she still loved me, but instead of showing me sympathy, she retrieved a small bottle from a necklace that hung around her neck. It was wolfsbane to kill off my wolf and stop me from transforming. Giving me no option, she forcefully opened my mouth and shoved the bitter liquid down my throat. It burned my throat as it trickled down, its acidity stinging my insides. Coughing and sputtering, I was in terrible pain. But still, my mother showed no signs of regret and looked at me condescendingly. Grabbing the edges of her dress with trembling hands, I begged her to tell me why. I'm your daughter, mother. How can you do this to me? A tear trickled from my cheek as I spoke. But she simply shook me off of her. You're a stain on my life, child, just like your useless father. Hand over the marriage token. Maybe I'll save your life, Elisa threatened. I had no idea what she was talking about, but my mother thought I was playing dumb. All at once, she violently started tearing at my collar, searching for the so-called marriage token. I swear to you I don't have it, pushing her away as I argued with her, but I had another realization as we struggled. Where's Teresa? What did you do to her? Lifting my chin, my mother simply scoffed at me. Ah, but you see. Your sister is different from you. You're now the lowest she-wolf, Lauren. And listen carefully. 3 days. That's your option. Either hand over the bone whistle or follow the same ending as your stupid father. Wait. You haven't told me why you cheated on father. Jed is my uncle, he's father's brother. How could you, mother? If it weren't for your father abusing his power, I would have married my real mate, Jed. Your father ruined what little chances I ever had at happiness. Do you know what that's like? To live all these years in a world of lies when my heart has always belonged to another? Her tone was full of hatred as she spoke. But mother, I uttered. But, nothing. I protected you as a child as a mother wolf should protect her cub. But you're no longer a child. It's time to grow up and face the truth, whatever the cost, and with that she exited the cell, leaving me on the ground whimpering. Lauren's POV spending the whole night in pain and agony, my wolf never appeared as I thought she might. The next day I woke up but my entire being was so limp I could barely move. It was hardly past the break of dawn when my jailer began to abuse me again, and I almost lost all hope of life. Why is this happening? I don't know if I can take much more. The day passed, and the next, but the abuse never stopped and I wondered when it was all going to end. My mother's words were hard to forget, an etching reminder, 3 days. On the last day, I heard a vague conversation outside my cell. She still refuses to hand it over. Came a female voice, and I instantly recognized it as my sister, Teresa. Yes, she's very stubborn. The cell door creaked open, and in strolled Teresa. Since the outbreak of war, it was the first time we had seen each other. All this time I thought she was in danger, but her appearance indicated otherwise. Gorgeously dressed in silk and fur, she was clearly unharmed, and it suddenly dawned on me. She's part of this whole cahoot. She's also a traitor, but how can it be? Are you here to force me to give you the token, Teresa? I asked her. But she said nothing. Instead, she forcefully kicked me in the shoulder. How dare you speak to me so insolently? Where's your respect? Now stop playing games, Lauren, and hand it over if you don't want to die. Teresa, please, I am begging you. I have no idea about this damn bone whistle, just like I have told everyone. I would have given it up by now. Surely you and mother believe me? As my family, you would know if I was lying. I've never seen it before, crying out to her. Of course, you haven't, she snickered, grabbing me by my hair as she whispered the words into my ear. Looking back behind her at the gate as if to make sure no one else was around, she retrieved a small item from her jacket, waving it in front of my eyes. Because it's in my hands, she laughed viciously, shaking the ivory-colored slanted bone in front of me, mocking me as she did so. Teresa. You did this on purpose, I stumbled, then why don't you just rather kill me? Because, Lauren, I want to watch you suffer, she chortled, just because you were born before me you were given all of the rights. An heiress just because of birth, and you were always set to marry the strongest alpha. Meanwhile, I have to pretend to be the good little sister when you've always been destined to have it all. But that wasn't by choice, I tried interjecting. But nothing. I am not willing to give you the satisfaction of it all. When you die, I'll have everything that was yours, including Adam. Never did I expect this from my youngest sister, nor for her to view me as the enemy. It sent shock waves down my spine. But even in my weakened state, I was nobody's fool. Do you think you can marry Adam by taking Uncle's side? Spitting a mouthful of blood at her as I purposefully taunted her with my words where I knew it hurt most. Marriage is an alliance between two packs, and only the eldest daughter of the current alpha is eligible. We were taught this from a young age. And don't forget that our father is dead. Laughing wickedly, she lifted my chin with the tip of her leather boot. Who told you my father was dead? I am Jed Watson's child, and tonight, I will tell my father that you have handed over the token. Tomorrow is your time to die. Her words hit me like a hot steak. We're not full sisters. All this time, all these years. Did father ever know the truth? More so, Teresa was an accomplice in the murder of my father. At that moment, I wanted to rush up to her and tear her apart, but the chain stopped me from doing so. Guards! Teresa called out, and one of the jailers from the sidelines pushed me hard to the ground once more. Seeing her leave so complacent, I swore in my heart I would avenge my father until my last dying breath. Lauren's POV. The torture sessions continued throughout the rest of the day. After the last round, I lay on the ground gasping. Don't let her die. She'll be executed tomorrow, and they want her alive. Let's go out for a drink, then, and the two jailers laughed in unison at my impending fate. When they were out of sight, I tried getting up. Tonight is your last chance to escape, Lauren. It's now or never. But my injuries were so bad, it was hard to imagine how I would be able to do so. Out of nowhere, the word weakling echoed through me. Looking around, was there another she-wolf being tortured? Glancing around the room, I saw nobody and wondered where I heard the sound coming from. Perhaps I was hallucinating from the pain, but it came again, and this time I realized it was from my body. But how could it be? My wolf isn't dead? Lauren, I am Alice. I've been waiting a long time to meet you, came the voice again, and I knew who she was. The wolf's bane had been underdosed, which only delayed my shift. Giving me all the strength I needed, by some miracle, my wolf helped me escape the cell. Catching the drunken jailers off guard, I strangled them both, and bolted from the scene, hiding in a nearby cave. Someone must have noticed and notified the others because I could now hear a stream of pursuers chasing me. Knowing it was no longer safe here, I had to leave, and Alice was getting weaker by the minute. Unfortunately, the only place to run to was a cliff. There was no way out. "We've got you now, girl," shouted one of the men. "You could have lived for one more night, but now." The pursuer shouted at me as he rushed toward me, giving me a big shove at the same time. "Go to hell." "Ah!" I screamed out as my body fell rapidly off the edge of the cliff and through midair, the wind whipping hard at my face. Just when I needed her most, Alice awakened, giving me the last bit of strength. "Lauren, I really like you, but I can't accompany you any further on this journey. From now on, you're on your own. Stay alive," she murmured in my heart. Hitting trees and rocks, my body rolled down a hill. "Alice." But there was only dead silence inside my head. Suddenly, I heard someone approaching me. Was it to kill me? Trying to open my eyelids and muster the strength to run away, I was too weak. Before I could do anything, a pair of exquisitely patterned leather boots came into view. Slowly following them upwards, I saw an adult werewolf hovering over me. He looked like an alpha. Strangely, the deadly attraction I felt singing through my body as our eyes met was palpable. It was like a bolt of electricity had just struck my entire being. "Who are you?" he asked in a deep voice, crouching down beside me and gently raising my chin. "A young she-wolf?" With our bodies inches away from one another, my intense feelings began to rise. He came up to my neck and breathed in deeply. I did not expect that we would meet in this way," the werewolf remarked. Picking up a stone next to me, I tried to attack, but he easily grasped my wrist. As soon as our skin touched, the stone fell out of my hand. "Don't play with dangerous things, I won't hurt you," he told me, and for some reason, I believed him. Before I had time to think or say another word, he carefully swept me from the ground, wrapping me in his dark cape, and pressing my head to his chest. His scent was contagious, and my body suddenly pined for more. I couldn't move, nor did I want to. "Hide, and whatever you do, don't move," he whispered. We were so close I could hear his heart beating and wondered if he could hear mine. I did as he asked, and nestled myself tightly into his torso. My head felt dizzy, but in a good way. "Who is she?" came a voice from behind us. The alpha quickly tightened the cape over my head, and I felt safe and secure in his gentle grip. "Oh, nothing. It's just a little pet I picked up to toy with." "Let's go," commanded my protector. He held on tight, not flinching or letting me go, hiding me like I was a precious gift he didn't want to share. Sensing he was different from those pursuers, my body relaxed slightly, and before I knew it, consciousness faded, and our journey began to a strange and unfamiliar place. Fate intervened. Lauren's POV: when I woke up, I was lying in a foreign bed. There was a figure standing beside me, and I instantly recognized the same desirable scent as before. It was the man from before. "Where am I?" I fumbled, peering open my eyes. "My room, don't worry, you're safe here," the man promised. Looking around the room, both the decoration and furniture were very luxurious, even better than my father's room. He must be of noble blood or hold very high status. Perhaps I am safe here, after all. "Why do you help me?" I asked vigilantly. Chuckling softly, he told me that he was my fated mate. "Well, you see, you and I are destined to be together," he began. "It's one of those things, we are drawn to each other, whether we like it or not," he continued to explain. As the words left his lips, I couldn't quite believe my ears. How had I found my mate during my hardest hours? Were my ancestors looking upon me all this time? If Alice knew this, she would undoubtedly be very happy, but it was the first time that the sweet smell of a mate had even crossed my world, and it felt addictive. I listened to him intently, and I didn't want his voice to stop, and he continued. So, what happened last night? The werewolf asked, and I could sense he didn't want to push me too far. It was like we were already so strongly connected, even our minds. His gentle tone made me want to depend on him even though we just met. I can't. Even my closest family has betrayed me. How am I to trust this stranger? But everything in my body and mind screamed at me that I could trust him. This feeling was bewildering. My parents died, and I've now found myself homeless, I told him. It was partly true, but I wasn't ready to tell him the entire truth, and at this point, Mother was dead to me. I can take you in, but we have to make a deal, he said, looking at me hopefully. The question wasn't imposing but instead felt kind. You see, my father has forced me to marry a strange she-wolf, but I now know I was destined for another, and he gazed deeply into my eyes. I instantly knew what he meant. It was disgusting that his father was forcing him into marriage. And I, as his fated mate, was the best reason for him to refuse the marital alliance posed upon him. I only needed to pay a small price to get to safety and a sheltered place to live. I could never return to what was once my home. How can I trust you? I don't even know your name. You don't know me. He looked surprised. I'm Ade. I had never heard this name before and wondered when we had possibly met. He seemed to know otherwise. Then, Ade, tell me, what should I do? My choice was a risky one, but if I could achieve the ultimate goal, I was willing to make a small sacrifice to get what I needed. Plus, I had nothing to lose. You'll know soon enough, and he smiled at me intensely. He was a handsome, tall, and strong alpha, that I couldn't deny. But now his eyes gave me a dangerous signal and the strange but familiar scent filled my body once more. As soon as our eyes locked, the hairs on my neck stood up, sending a shiver through me. My body was hot, and even in the cool winter's morning, I felt like I suddenly needed to tear off the blankets keeping me warm. I tried to shake off the feeling, but it felt impossible. Don't be afraid, it's a ritual between mates, Ade consoled like he was able to read my mind again. It won't hurt, let me help you. I knew what he meant, and felt a surge plow through me. I wanted him. Just relax, I'll make you comfortable, he whispered in my ear, nibbling on the edge of my ear as he said it. Taking off his clothes one item at a time, he revealed his muscular body, his smooth muscles making my mouth dry. My yearning became stronger, and his eyes reflected the same desire back at me. No one had ever looked at me this way before. Follow your instincts, Lauren. This is meant to be. You can feel it. Go with it. And I followed my instincts, allowing him to slowly take off my garments, trailing each of his thrusting movements as our naked bodies met. He's my mate, I should be able to give myself to him. An explosion of oxytocin overcame me, and my internal thoughts disappeared beneath me. His movements were gentle, and I could feel him controlling the force of his thrusts. I let go of all control. Pressing him close to me, sweat dripping down my body, I bit his neck and purred, harder. Lauren's POV rising the next day, Ade had left. The marks on my body reminded me of what happened last night, a symbol that it was all real. Thinking of his strong body, the warmth of his hands as he touched me, and the soft flitter of his kisses, I was flushed. Last night, I lost my virginity. Lying in the tumbled sheets, a slight wave of regret came over me. A maid suddenly entered, tearing me from my thoughts. She informed me that I would be responsible for the cleaning of the room in the future. How did I suddenly become the maid? But, at least I am safe for now. If you'd like, can I show you around? She offered, and I agreed. Just give me a moment, I asked, changing back into my clothing. Joining her, she began to take me around the new setting. In the communal outdoor area, a group of people passed us by, and I could tell that two of them were clearly distinguished. The first was an elder alpha exuding a powerful aura that I had never witnessed before. I hadn't seen this alpha, but you could sense his power even from a distance. The rest of the group respectfully followed behind him and another man was at his side. Immediately recognizing that it was Ade, it was surprising that my mate was the younger one. He showed such strong energy that I automatically assumed he was the alpha of his pack. As soon as he noticed me standing there, he gave me a meaningful smile, his eyes lighting up instantly. He walked over to me, taking me into his arms. "Behave yourself. You're going to get married," the elder alpha scolded. "Father, I'd like to introduce you, she is my mate," Ade informed the alpha. His father. "But I'm afraid I cannot fulfill my promise to marriage," Ade continued, his tone apologetic as he spoke. Despite the fact he was rebelling against his father's authority, he still showed him respect in his words. "Adam Evans," bellowed his father, "a she-wolf with unknown origin doesn't deserve to be your Luna, son." What did he just say? Adam Evans? In a second, everything changed. "So, I'm in the Ironclaw tribe, and Ade, no, Adam, is the alpha who was ready to marry me before my pack was destroyed? How can it be? Fate." My own father had waited at the border with his werewolves, ready to greet the Ironclaw's alpha and his son. This is what had caused the rebellion when my uncle and mother knew father would be unarmed. With the bloody disaster that ensued, I wondered how much Adam knew. I suddenly felt sick to my stomach. Staring at the alpha, the fiancé Adam had spoken about, was me? A whirl of thoughts smacked me. Was he an accomplice to this rebellion? Have I just given away myself to a man who helped kill my father? Does he know who I am? What's wrong? Adam chuckled, noticing the sudden change in my face. "You don't want to anymore. Don't forget last night you." "Shut up. Liar." Shouting back at him, "You've been playing me this whole time," I shrieked. He didn't understand my sudden reaction and strong change of heart. "I'm just kidding, I didn't mean to hide my real identity from you. It's just when I usually tell women who I really am, they tend to get carried away. I felt something different with you, something I haven't before, and needed to know it was real," he reassured me, giving me that deep stare. But the anger building inside me was undeniable, and I was just about to rebut when a sickly sweet voice interrupted. "Adam, I've been looking for you everywhere. I can't wait to show you my new dress. I'll be the most shining one at our engagement." I knew that tone. It was Teresa, and my body turned to stone. Adam was still holding on to me, but even he could sense my tension. He tightened his grip around me, symbolizing the protective force he felt toward me. But everything made me even more confused, and I couldn't help feeling betrayed. As soon as Teresa recognized that it was me, her face changed instantly, a look of shock, horror, and utter scorn surfacing. "What the hell are you doing here?" She spat at me while turning around to face the crowd, looking for backup. "Wait, do you know each other?" Adam asked in surprise. This confirms what I thought. Can things get any worse? Before I had the chance to lay out my thoughts, or question either of them, Teresa immediately yelled out at the top of her lungs. "Get her. She's the daughter of a rebel. Do you not know who she is? How can you take in a prisoner?"